Hello everyone, welcome to the third part of three-part series of driver programming. In this presentation, we will study about Inter-Integrated Circuit Protocol, I2C protocol. We need to communicate between two devices, that is from master to slave. Here master is our PIC32 microcontroller and slave is DS3231 real-time clock. Why do we use real-time clock? We use real-time clock to get information regarding the time information, date information, and we can also set alarms using RTCs. Here you can see in the terminal I am using Termite. I am reading values from DS3231 real-time clock. The red value will be sent to the terminal. Basically, we will use three devices. One is PIC32 real-time clock and serial to USB bridge. Whatever the data that is fetched from the real-time clock will be displayed in the terminal using serial to USB bridge. The output we are seeing in the terminal. What is I2C? I2C is a two-wire communication protocol because it only uses two wires for communication. One is data line and one more is clock. Remember, I2C is half duplex protocol because between master and slave or between two devices, you could either send data or receive data from one device. Say for instance, this is our master and this is our slave DS3231. At the given time, either you can read data from DS3231 or you can write data to DS3231, but you cannot do simultaneously. I2C specification for maximum clock frequency is 100 kHz. This later increased to 400 kHz as a fast mode. There is also provision for high-speed mode which can go up to 3.4 MHz, and there is also 5 MHz ultra-fast mode. Prerequisites. We need our master, that is PIC32 microcontroller. We need to read datasheet and reference manual of PIC32, specifically I2C section. I strongly recommend you to read the reference manual instead of datasheet to have better understanding of the implementation. We need I/O expansion board for PIC32 and pin diagram document of this I/O expansion. Read section 24 of PIC32 reference manual. Here I2C is explained very well. RTC DS3231 module and datasheet is required. This is our real-time clock. We need USB to UART bridge CP2102. Install CP2102 drivers. Actually, this USB to UART bridge is not required in our application, but it is optional. We can see the output in our terminal. So it is better to have a USB to UART bridge. To see the output, we need serial port terminal. I am using Termite. I found it is very useful and simple to use. Protocol basics. In idle state, both SDA, data line and clock line are high. Here you can see both are high in the idle state. Communication is initiated by master device. We know that communication always initiated by the master device. Master has the authority to decide whether to perform write operation or read operation. Start condition yes, followed by the address of the slave device. Once all bytes are read or written, the master device generates the stop condition. This is our start condition and this is our stop condition. Here we can notice the data line is high in the idle state. Once data line becomes logic high to logic low, that give rise to the start condition, and stop condition is, here we can see the stop condition. Once data line jumps from logic low to logic high, and retain its state, that means you have arrived to the stop condition. Most I2C devices support repeated start condition. Only 2 wires with pull-up resistors are needed to connect almost unlimited number of I2C devices. We have our master device here and we have multiple slave devices here. We need just 2 wires to connect almost unlimited number of slave devices. Each device has got its own address. All we need is device addresses to communicate between a master and a slave. I2C implementation with PIC32 master and DS3231 slave device. This is real-time clock. We need a battery to operate a device. Generally, coin cell is inserted into real-time clock. This is our PIC32 master and this is USB UART bridge CP21. It is supposed to be CP2102, not CP2120. This is your real-time clock. Notice the pin connections. Real-time clock is connected to pin number 36 and 38. 36 is for data line and 38 for the clock line. I am using 2 pins dedicated for I2C, that is I2C2. We are connecting USB UART bridge here. I recommend you to go through the second part of this tutorial where I explained about UART communication. Here we have TX and RX pin at 41 and 43. This is all about the pin diagram. Configuring PIC32 as master. This could be found in the reference manual of PIC32. How do we enable the I2C protocol? 2 pins are used for bus operation. These are clock pin, which is for clock, and data line for data. Once the module is enabled, assuming no other module with higher priority has control. In order to configure the I2C for the master, initially we turned off the device and we set the baud rate. Then we enabled the pins. Here we can see in the main function we are calling 2 main functions. One is to configure the I2C device, one is to configure the UART device, just to display the output in the terminal. Now let us see the implementation of I2C config. Here we have the implementation of I2C. Initially the device is turned off, then we set the baud rate, then we are enabling the device. We set the baud rate as 0C6 hexadecimal. To know more information about this, refer the reference manual. This is a screenshot. We are done with the master configuration. Now let us read data from real-time clock. Let us see the overview of data transfer. Initially, both the lines are in the idle state, both the lines are high. Once data line jumps from logic high to logic low, the start condition starts. Once the data line becomes from logic low to logic high, that is a stop condition. In between, data transfer happens. We are reading data from real-time clock. This is how we can implement. This frame could be seen in the datasheet of DS3231. First, we need to enable the start condition. Before seeing this implementation, let us go through the code. We are calling read RTC data function. Here we have read RTC data. Now let us see the implementation of I2C start, I2C write, I2C read, and I2C stop. Starting with I2C start, I2C wait for idle condition. Here we are checking whether master is not busy. Majorly we are checking I2C status bit for TR stat. Now let us see what this TR stat means. In the PIC32 datasheet, go to the I2C status register. Here we are checking transmit status bit TR start. I2C to stat bits dot tr stat transmit status bit. This bit is set by hardware at the beginning of master transmission and is cleared by hardware at the end of slave acknowledgement. If it is 1, master transmit is in progress. If it is 0, master transmit is not in progress. Then we will set the control bit I2C to con bits dot SEN start enable. Now let us see the control register of I2C. Control register of I2C. We are setting the start enable bit, start condition enable bit. Initiate the start condition on STA and SCL pins. Hardware clear at the end of master start sequence. We set this bit to 1. So we enabled the start bit and we are waiting till start bit is enabled by the master. Now let us see the stop bit. I2C wait for idle, and we are enabling the stop bit in the control register at the end of data transmission. And here is the implementation of I2C restart condition. Wait for idle. In the control bit, set restart enable bit is equal to 1. I2C acknowledgement. Wait for idle. In control register, we will set acknowledgement date. Value is transmitted when the software initiates an acknowledge sequence. Send not acknowledged during acknowledge if it is 1. If this bit is set to 0, send acknowledgement during acknowledge. Here we can see we are setting it to 0 and we are setting acknowledge sequence enable bit. If it is 1, initiate acknowledge sequence on data line, data pin and clock pin and transmit acknowledge data bit. If it is 0, acknowledge sequence is not in progress. We set it to 1 and we are waiting until this bit is cleared, meaning acknowledge bit has been sent. This is the implementation of I2C not acknowledge. We are setting acknowledge data bit to 1 in the control register. This is the implementation of write operation. We are sending address and whether we need acknowledgement or not. We will wait till the transmit buffer is empty. Wait for idle. Wait ACK is equal to 1. We will wait for acknowledgement. If it is 0, we will not wait for acknowledgement. This is the implementation of I2C read. We are sending acknowledgement, not acknowledgement. Whether we need an acknowledgement or we don't need an acknowledgement. We are setting RCEN in the control register to 1. Let us see what RCEN means. Receive enabled bit. If it is 1, enables receive mode for I2C and we will wait till receive buffer is full. Then we will store the data in the local variable. We will send this data to the UART. The output will be seen in our terminal. Now let us see how the RTC is implemented. First we will send the start bit. We send the start bit. Then we are sending the slave address. Here the slave address for RTC is 0001011. Then sequentially we are reading the data. Then we will get acknowledgement from the slave. Along with that, slave will send some data. Here we can see we sent 1 because we need acknowledgement from the slave. Once we read the data, we will send acknowledgement to the slave device. We read multiple data. Along with that, we will send acknowledgement to the slave device. Finally, once we reach the end, we will send not acknowledge to the slave device. Here we can see we are sending not acknowledgement by passing value 1 to the function. Finally, we are performing the stop condition. Perform the stop condition. This is our final output. Master read data from the slave device. The read data will be sent to the terminal with the use of UART protocol. Here we are using I2C protocol. This is our output. purpose of this presentation is to show how to read the data. Later we can decode this data. Decoding is not the part of this presentation. This video is presented by Avari Technologies. Please do hit subscribe button to get more content. Thank you.